I first of all offer millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila, Pravishta Om, Vishnupad, Asto Taradrashishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila, Pravishta Om, Asto Taradrashishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, Dandavat pranams. So we've been speaking about the remarkable fortune that we are all in, that we have Sri Guru in this birth. From something that is material, you cannot access that which is spiritual without having a spiritual connection. Our materially contaminated consciousnesses from billions of years have not tasted the flavor of actual spiritual life or spiritual reality. But when Guru arrives in our lives by the mercy of Krishna, then that spiritual energy enters. First, it comes to our external senses. We become aware of his potency. And then we drink it deeper and deeper and begin to realize the truths that he's trying to impart by his mercy. Only by his mercy. So it's saying, Yasya Devi Para Devi, Yato Devi Yata Guru. That by the mercy of Guru alone are all the instructions of the Vedas imparted into the heart. This is Gurudev's Vyasa Puja day. This is the day when Srila Gurudev himself, if he was present today, he always honors 6 acharyas in front of him. He would sit down and very carefully honor his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pramyan Keshav Maharaj. Then he would honor Jagat Guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then he would honor Srila Gokishore Das Babaji. Then he would honor Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And then Baladev Vidyabhushan. He would very carefully honor all these personalities to invoke the mercy of Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva, we understand, he took the one Veda, the Artha Veda, and he divided it into 4. The Rig, Soma, and Yagya Vedas, he divided. And then he spoke extensively about Gyan Kand and Karma Kand. He presented these philosophies for the people in general. And then he gave the Vedanta Sutras. And then he gave the 54 Puranas, the Itihasyas, but still he was not satisfied until Narad came and inspired him to see in trance Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And then he described through the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence that Gurudev is using as the foundation to guide us into a higher state of consciousness. Many times, Srila Gurudev would quote one verse that he also said, "You're not really my disciple unless you know this verse." So we've said the verse about Mahaprabhu, the verse about Krishna, and the complete conclusion of all spiritual reality is Aradeo Bhagavan Brajesha, Tanayas Taddama Vrindavanam, Ramya Kachit Upasana Braja, Vadur Vargena Vakalpite, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam, Amalam Prema Pumato Nata, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Mata Idam Tatrudaro Naparaha. This is the opinion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This Aradeo Bhagavan. Who is that most worshipable Lord? That is the son of Nanda Baba. And his abode, Sri Vrindavan. This is the conclusion of all Shastra. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given us this particular verse. And this takes us into the very heart of our deepest desire. So Gurudev would so many times present this verse. Many, many lectures we can look through. and find. And then it's saying, who are those people who are most worshipable to us? It's those Vraja Vadus, those young wives of Vrindavan. Ramya Kachit Upasana, Upasana, worship. Who is worshipping that person the most? And it is those young wives of Vrindavan, the gopis. So Srila Gurudeva, he introduced, not introduced, he resurrected, he rose up again these truths in our consciousnesses. The truths were already there. They had been given, distributed by so many personalities previously. But Srila Gurudeva woke them up for us. He gave us these, the heart of this. And then, what is the authority for this? Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Kumatonata. This is the supreme authority. And then, not only that, but it's the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in all circumstances, this is the principal body of all tattva and siddhanta is within this one verse alone. So Srila Gurudeva, he gave us this. Just like a jewel, he gave it to us. We should carefully polish that jewel and see all the different facets and colors in it. It's so much truth is in that one single verse. But Gurudev gave us so many of these jewels. How much indebted do we feel to him? In Bhagavad Gita, it's saying very simply, Vidi pranipatena pranipashena sevaya upadekshayanti jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. That by approaching that person and pariprashena, inquiring, hearing answers, the truth answers, and serving this sevaya, then that's the equation to receive this knowledge. So we have all spent time listening to Srila Gurudeva and inquiring from Srila Gurudeva. And now we have such a fund of wealth. We have to carefully examine that wealth. I was speaking to one devotee this evening, and I was saying that I felt that Srila Gurudeva had given me enough juice to actually last me 10, 12 lifetimes. There's enough for me to study for 10, 12, 15 lifetimes. It's practically endless, the amounts of information and understanding he's given us. And it's never about gyan. We must be very cautious of this. Because just like Srila Gurudeva Maharaj, he gave so much tattva and siddhanta, but he never ever wanted us to become gyanis. Don't take shelter in the gyan. Understand the gyan and have realization of it. Taking shelter of gyan is like, for example, someone may be explaining many truths and so on, just like someone may explain signposts. If there's a signpost and it's saying in this direction, this direction, this direction, but they're not actually themselves going in that direction. They're just explaining all of the different directions, but they themselves are not really diving into the bhajan, the principal essence of that direction. Gurudev gave us this. He said so many times, what can you speak, what can you preach, unless you are doing bhajan? Bhajan is the principle, but it doesn't mean to the exclusion of your sharing the fruits of that. Jai. What was the love and affection that he wanted to impart to us? What was the sweetest jewel that he gave us? He gave us this jewel of Braja Dham, Braja Prem. He told us very clearly, don't try and spend your lives purifying your existence, thinking that by that purity I will deserve the truth. No. He told us this verse, Vikriditam Brajavadubi itam cha Vishnu. Nushunyad artha varenyadya. Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhyat karma hridrogamasala pinoti acharena dira, that by hearing the sweet pastimes of Radha and Krishna, the disease of lust will go away. First we hear, and then we speak that same katha that we heard, and by that speaking, smarana will manifest. This is the process. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. First I'm hearing, and then I'm speaking, and then I'm remembering. I'll remember all the time these pastimes if I'm speaking them. But the principle is that we can't clear this anchor of lust, material lust, by itself. We have to take the positive conclusion. We have to appreciate Sri Vrindavan Dham. We have to appreciate the sweetest pastimes there. If we drink those pastimes into our hearts, then this hridrogam, this disease of the heart, will be vanquished. This is the process, because there are many schools of Vaishnavas who believe that actually, no, we should not hear Rasa Lila. Rasa Lila is the crest jewel of Sri Krishna's pastimes. How can we not hear those pastimes? How can we not understand on that full moon night in the month of Saran how Krishna assembled with 350 million gopis? How can we not hear about this? If this was the crest jewel of all his pastimes, how can we turn our backs on that? Gurudeva is giving that to us. How they danced and sang in complete abandonment. How they danced so beautifully. They would have batons with silk cloths coming out of each side, and they would be swinging them around, swaying them. Can we imagine such an assembly of personalities, all perfectly realized and glorifying that Supreme Lord? How pleased was Krishna by that? What was the reciprocation? What was the relationship? What was the sweetness that was actually building in that Rasa Lila pastime of Krishna's? Vrinda Devi and all her Sakis were there as the audience, clapping and cheering. It was so much festivity. It's described how all of the instruments manifested by themselves. All the instruments, the harmonium, etc., would all play by themselves. The mridanga would play, but the personification of mridanga manifested to play. So what sort of orchestra did they have? But what was the greatest sound vibration? Was the sound of the gopis' ankle bells, the sound of their bracelets, the sound of their waist bells. Can we imagine millions and millions of bells like that? Ching, ching, ching. What an extraordinary sound. And then the sound of their sweet singing. This description of Rasa Lila is there very clearly in the Bhagavatam. This verse that I quoted, Vikriditam Brajavadubi, it comes at the end of the 5 chapters about the Rasa Lila in the Bhagavatam. This is the last verse where Shukadeva Goswami is saying, you have to hear these pastimes. Don't ever become intimidated now just because Srila Gurudeva is no longer present. Because most Vaishnava schools are saying, oh, be cautious for this. Be very careful. Don't talk about these topics publicly. Yes, don't talk about them in a very confidential way. But still they have to be approached. They still have to be encouraged. Everyone should take shelter of these pastimes. They are the crest jewel of all Krishna's pastimes. And this is why Srila Gurudeva has come to tell us this. Remember, so many times he said, your Prabhupada told you Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I have come to tell you that he's not. How beautiful. How beautiful. Who can understand this? Who can understand this except by listening constantly to his teaching?